Hey, Pro States. Alright, so you guys kind of know a little bit about what I'm going through. You know, bad false allegations, false criminal allegations, acquitted by jury, false OFCS, New York OFCS, that's basically CPS New York, allegations, and I just recently learned that OFCS is not going to fight my appeal or my relief requested for the full appeal. So they're admitting they wrote a bad report, and they're not going to fight me appealing the bad report. And I don't think I'm the only person who's going through this. Everyone's got their own story, but I think that the process by which they're abusing the process is a lot the same, and I wanted to share my experience with New York OFCS. They seemed like they were very reasonable. I will tell you this. In Ulster County, my wife started with the nonsense. And the police came, and OFCS got involved and everything like that. And she was like, sorry, I'm just making things up and being crazy. OFCS came by and was like, yeah, these are great parents. And, Amy was having a hard time. Anyways, so originally, and in Ulster County, everything was fine and fair. It was like well after she had made her second allegations that I've been acquitted of here, and that it wasn't seeming like it was going to work out, that all of a sudden out of nowhere Warren County came to investigate me, and they seemed like they would be reasonable because it was all like crazy nonsense. And it was just so interesting because they're like, yeah, of course this didn't happen. Like, I was talking to Brianna Davis, and she's like, realizing that I didn't poison my children, realizing Amy might be a little crazy, realizing that I couldn't have beaten a baby out of Amy's womb a month after she left, and I can't, that's not possible. So as they were, realizing that it was all impossible, I thought, okay, of course, this is not going to be an obstacle because all these things are impossible. And so this investigator is going to do as she seems she's going to do and write up a fair report. And so she wrote up this report that said everything I'm telling you, that like they didn't find any of Amy's accusations. They're all unfounded. Individually addressed and unfounded. And then arbitrarily, for no reason, this Brianna Davis went against the policy of the organization, and she used a old report to find this report. And the thing about that old report is that it was unfounded itself. So it's kind of hard to believe all this. So she went out of her way, admitting that all these allegations were untrue, and went out of her way, broke the agency's policy, and marked the overall case as founded. And those words alone, without any substance whatsoever in the report, and I can publicly, I'll publish this. I'm going to sue them. I'm going to win. I'm going to gloat about it. But without any actual substance, and literally saying we don't believe Amy, but we're just going to find in this case, that had the power to be played against me. All right? And I'm sure like going through the same thing. If you're going through the same thing, hang on and see how this is going. And like I got even the attorneys that the court hired for me were pretending like this meant something. If I hadn't have had my criminal attorney who was on my side, if I hadn't have had another attorney who was assisting me through the law library, and I wouldn't have realized it was abnormal what they were trying to pull on me, and like that, But anyways, so you might be looking at the same kind of situation where you have this nonsense report that says absolutely nothing against you, and yet at the end it just goes, founded, this person's bad, negligent, like attaches these words to it. I think it was negligent. I'm a negligent parent because all this stuff was untrue. I don't even understand how. Absolute nonsense. Like, it read like absolute nonsense. And the judges and the lawyers wanted to pretend like it had some relevance, like it meant something. That alone was so dystopian and twisted and terrifying to deal with, to confront. I'm reading the same report that they're reading. It means nothing at all. It literally says, we don't believe her, but it's founded. They're reading it and pretending they're pretending as if it read that everything was founded. And Amy's attorney was going to pull this off as if it's just one. This is his own words. It's all one report, Phil. It's all one report. He was going to be allowed to jam it through. The last two words, like founded on negligence. Those two little words would have obliterated all of what was actually written in it. I would have been a negligent parent based on nothing, based on nonsense. And that was like crushing. That was like, how could they do this? I was like, oh, what am I, going crazy? Like, this is horrible. And I'm sure like everyone who gets to that point, just like me, wanted to give up, wanted to bail and go, how am I supposed to fight against this? This is like an Emperor's New Clothing situation. And okay, so I gathered my strength and I started with the appeal. And I went after him. I told Brianna Davis off right from the beginning. I told her I was going to Article 78 her, and this was a bunch of nonsense. Man, I'll tell you, I was sad. I wanted to give up. I didn't want to do any of it. I just wanted to run off and be like, man, forget this. I can't do this. I can't emotionally take it. And I barely could. But I fought my appeal, right? And I went through the process. And from the beginning of the appeals process, they made it unnecessarily difficult. Just to initiate the appeals process, the communication structure within CPS, let me tell you, first things first, don't talk to these people. You have to document every communication that you have with these people. And if you have to talk to them for an investigation, for anything at all, you need to follow it up with an email confirming the important information that you talked to them about, because they don't care what you're saying. They lie. They absolutely lie, and they lied to me. And these people I talked to on the phone say, oh yeah, we got this, we got that. Oh yeah, your appeal's in. Oh, no, I even got email confirmation. Like, it was so bad. So just starting the appeals process, there was all this confusion, and I barely made it for their deadlines. They set these deadlines, these arbitrary deadlines on you that you have to, if you don't get all this stuff done while they're making it difficult and having this lack of communication and this confused communication within the organization, there's a little confusion going on. So like barely getting the appeal in and having to go after doing it multiple times in order to get it concreted that I was going to get my appeal of this nonsense, that was a difficult fight. Okay? That took multiple attempts and months. And then the process. Okay? I had plenty of evidence. I got plenty of documentation. And I'm using it in a lawsuit against this nut. And I needed to show it. And it made all the difference after I got to show it, but I didn't get to show it until the first day of the appeal. And I got to give it to the judge in this case. Judge Jillian Hirsch was super fair. And she made me immediately realize I was going to get a fair hearing. I was actually going to get a fair hearing from her. But all the way up to this point, I was dealing with the organization that was giving me bad information and not allowing me to send in exhibits for evidence for this fair hearing. The amount of mistakes made, and every single one of these mistakes, it was extremely discouraging to have to deal with. And it just made me feel like I am never going to be able to do this. I'm going to lose based on some stupid technicality, on some hurdle that they're placing in front of me in this track, basically based on their obstacles. Arbitrary, totally arbitrary, has nothing to do with your child's best interest, has nothing to do with anything like that. It's an unfriendly, confusing, and I believe intentionally confusing process to get people who are in similar situations as me, because I'm starting to believe like it's way worse, considering that what they just pulled on me. I'm wondering how many parents are going through the exact same thing. Just total nonsense. Can't understand how this is happening. Courts are pretending that these documents mean anything, and they lose out because of some absolutely arbitrary technical mistake in a process that is made confusing intentionally to get you to fail. Because, man, the amount of times that I almost failed because of their miscommunications was staggering. If I wasn't so committed to this, like, I can understand how people have walked away from this process. I can understand how people walked away because they were convinced that they had failed at it already. They were trying to tell me I failed, and it was all my mistake, and all these different steps of the process that I was screwing up, and I had to fight for that. What if I believed them? I'm sure a lot of people think that they're decent people. They're not. So the agency itself, horrible. Jillian Hirsch, though, awesome. So finally I fight all the way up to this point. And it is put off, and it is put off, and it is put off. And it is put off so long that it would have determined my family court case if I wasn't fighting the criminal case. So family court wanted to wrap me up. Family court wanted to use this CPS case that I was appealing against me and pretend that it was real. And the only reason why they didn't get to jam in a trial with this nonsense before I got the chance to appeal it was because I was fighting a criminal case, and because Amy Gannaway is not smart, she freaking held the trial off 3 times. She screwed it. She screwed up. She a mistrial because of her testimony. All right. The second time was a hung jury, like all this nonsense, but false charges in the first place. None of this needed to happen. So while this was happening, I have the right not to be held to it. So I can't be held to her her accusations when the trial's ongoing. So we fought that trial out, and I won. Had I given in due to desperation, and either way, during my criminal trial, or said, okay, we can have this. They tried to have my family court trial before my criminal trial was done. They really tried, and I really had to fight to stop that. So I'm sitting here thinking about that, and I had a very particular situation that saved my butt. I have a right to not be held to Amy's accusations until the criminal process was done. I had my criminal attorney on my side saying that for me, and I had to push it down their throats to get them to hold off on the trial till after that. They were not going to be that kind, and they were not going to hold off till after the appeal of this nonsense report, and they were telling me to my face they were going to have a trial and they were going to use this report. The judge was telling me, the courts were telling me, that my own attorneys who the courts assigned to me, buddies with the judge, these people, and Amy's attorney were all going to tell me, this is going to hang you. You're done. You're never going to see your kids. It's all one report. We can do this. They were so confident that they were just going to do this. So I'm wondering how many people were in a similar situation to me, but didn't have the exact situation that saved my butt, and they had to get forced to go to a family court trial, and they had some nonsense report that they know was nonsense that got used against them in a pretend fashion, as if it had some substance, as if it said that they were a bad person, like these bad actors intended to do with me, until I fought it off. They weren't listening when I said, it's in the appeals process, you can't use this. They didn't care. It was going to be the record. It was going to be on the record, and the reason why I wasn't going to be allowed to see my kid, because Brianna Davis said my wife was doing the right thing. Oh, she was right for leaving the house and she was right for bouncing out of the state with the kids. She protected herself and her kids, while she also said there was no threat to protect herself against. I feel like maybe that was a little sexist. I mean, maybe we're dealing with a lot of that in the system. So, 3 trials, year plus, I'm acquitted. Okay. Still though, right, I gotta go fight this CPS thing. Okay. OFCS. And at this point, I'm going up, let's say I'm going up for the appeal, right? And I'm going up with 76 exhibits in my hand. 76 exhibits at the family courts, they're not letting me show any of them. I'm gonna have to do something called an RJN, a request for judicial notice, and force it onto the record for just a few of these things. Just a few of these things qualify for my RJN. You gotta look that up. You gotta do your own research on an RJN. It's very, very important. But yeah, but other than that, she's not even going to look at any of those exhibits. She's already told me. She's totally trashing my whole entire... She arrested me during testimony. All right? Anyways. So, I show up to the OFCS appeal with these 70-something, 76, 77 exhibits that I got, which is Amy's phone calls to 911, calling 911 to say he needs to throw out his medical marijuana. Make him throw it out, ordering cops around to do that. Calling cops, he's attacking me. And then when they get there, going, he didn't actually do anything. I'm just pregnant and crazy. I'm just misusing the system and abusing the system. And just over and over doing this. And she's obviously not hurt. And there's no issues. There's no problem. And her son is saying there's no issue. Corrigan's saying like nothing happened. Dad wouldn't hurt mom. All this other stuff. Anyways, all this proof of all this nonsense and all these false accusations and serial calling and false reporting and just Amy losing it because of hormonal overload from being pregnant like 5 times in a row over 2 years. Jeez, enough already. Anyways, I'm not taking her Zoloft. So that was a real situation. And that's the true story that all the exhibits point out. No, the judge is not going to see that. Literally telling me, like screaming at me, yeah, I'm not going to look at those. Not even allowing me the opportunity to present them regularly like you're supposed to. Like, Your Honor, I have in my hand here what appears to be yada, 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 marked for exhibit, like yelling at me while I'm doing that, and then just shit-canning me even being able to use it. Excuse my language. So, back to OFCS. I show up with those same exhibits. The judge and the agency, so I'm like, I haven't had an opportunity to hand these up. The judge is like, these are late. Judge realizes, yeah, this is the MO. I'm not lying. They made it difficult and miscommunicated and did not give me a proper opportunity to hand in any exhibits. They told me there was none. The agency told me there was no process for giving in exhibits. It didn't need to happen. It was an informal thing. Just relax while we take your fucking kid from you. Excuse my language. When I showed up, the judge knew the nonsense, allowed for the exhibits to be entered, held off the appeal, and I went home to go stress out about how they were going to screw me. I had a great feeling about the judge, though, so I knew I was going to get a fair hearing. I knew why I was going to win. I knew technically why I was going to win. I knew ethically why I was going to win. It's just stressful. And I was going to have to go up there. And I had to go up to Warren County. I live in Orange County. It's in the middle of bum-umph nowhere. Okay? It's Lake George. I don't have money to stay at a hotel. I was going to sleep outside the night before the hearing. I was lucky to get a ride from a friend at the first hearing. The bus ride takes like 8 hours and goes once a day. I would have to, no matter what, I would have to sleep outside 2 nights to be there, because when the bus comes and leaves, this is only like one schedule, one bus coming and going every day. So I'm getting ready to do this, bring my evidence up, sleep outside with a hammock and a tarp over me. Hope it doesn't just ruin, the weather doesn't just ruin me. Go there as fresh as the weather allows the next day and fight this thing. And they took it all the way to the other day when they send an email saying, oh, we're not going to fight it anymore. So this is what you're dealing with. This is the style. They're going to drag it out as long as, and how arbitrary, how foolish, how stupid. Along the whole entire time, trust me, I was on the phone with these stupid, foolish jerks, talking to them about this. Their legal department, everything, this was nonsense. They did not need to do this. They do this. They did it to me, and I believe that they're doing it to a lot of other people. And I believe similar situations with a lot of other people. Common tricks, and if they don't work, if the first tricks don't work, they're going to move on to the next tricks. Okay? The only reason why I got through, I was innocent from the beginning of all this, but I held in. They're just trying to take advantage of the fact that people give up, that people make mistakes, that people will believe that they made a mistake. If they were telling me I was making mistakes, and they wanted me to believe I was making mistakes and give up on the process, believing I had made a mistake. Multiple times, I went through that whole entire emotional yo-yo. Oh no, I made a mistake. Oh, how can I do this? Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I'm so stupid. No, they were lying. There was no mistake made. They wanted me to believe it and give up on my child. And I bet you they've made a lot of people believe it and give up on their child and blame themselves. I bet you that they are the cause of a lot of people terminating their life early. CPS's agenda is to get control of your child in a situation so that they can get money for having helped the child. If people are going through the same thing as me, similar, you see this, reach out. If you know someone who's going through this, send them it. Share it with them. I might look crazy. I might be a little crazy. This kind of stuff drives people crazy. You might know somebody who went full out crazy from this. I've watched guys walking around, and I've stayed in a few homeless shelters. I've watched guys walking around in homeless shelters muttering about this happening to them. Just couldn't handle it, and I don't blame them. I could barely handle it either. This has been a really rough and unnecessary ride. And what's the worst part is, my kid has to deal with all this. They're going to walk away like, oh, oops. Hope I don't sue, and they're going to be wrong. Just absolutely suing them. And I want other people who've gone through this to come join me. I'll do the hard work. I'll do the paperwork. I'll take your affidavit. Okay? Just got to show up and hold them accountable. Sorry if you're going through this. I'm sorry if you know somebody's gone through this. I'm sorry if your parent has gone through this and they gave up. Sorry. And children, I would say this, that my children would believe that, my son and his brother and my other child would believe the narrative spoken about this OFCS thing. And they would have the backing of a founded report before they were able to read anything. When they became adults, I mean, I kept this report. I made sure I got it. Make sure you get your report. I realized Any idiot could read this report and realize it says nothing bad about me and that it just, for no reason, says I'm neglectful. And so I saved that because I figured my kid could see that. But if you live in New York State, I have a feeling other states too, and you've been fed the narrative that your parent couldn't take care of you, or that your parent was a bad parent, neglectful parent, CPS took you, find the report. Go get that report and find out if it isn't a bunch of bullshit. Because any idiot could have read that, and all these idiots read it and pretended like it was some reason to take my kid from me. And I'll bet you they all pretended with all these other kids who were already taken away. And, oh, what a horrible dad. What a horrible... Yes, the emperor is wearing new clothes. What wonderful new clothes the emperor is wearing. You must believe this child, the child abusing pieces of trash, doing this to little kids and their mentality. Little kids grow up. If you were a little kid who had your parent taken away from you and you got told that your dad or your mama was a bad person, couldn't handle it, couldn't hack it, and let me tell you, man, if your dad or your mom gave in and they couldn't handle or having you taken away, that's a totally different thing. Go read the report. And if the report reads nonsense, understand, however your parents were in the end, having you taken away from them would have been the worst thing ever for anybody. Nearly killed me, man. If I hadn't already... I quit using intravenous heroin 10 years ago. Alright? Quit drinking 5 years ago. It has to do with this religious oath I'm taking for my other son, because I'm going through the same kind of nonsense in New Jersey. Alright? And battled them. And still battling them. Through incomplete orders that they're giving. But I gave up, and I've been through all that. Intravenous heroin, I used that for 10 years, and I've been clean from it for 10 years. Okay? Crime, I was a career criminal 10 years back. Alright? Floozies. You know, cheap love. Added my fill. So, going into this, I've already been through all that. I've been through my loss and all this other stuff. And a lot more than that. That's strengthened me. But other people who haven't been through all that are much more likely to succumb to all that. And I'm telling you, your parent, if they ended up using drugs after they lost you, or going back to drugs after they lost you, or drinking after they lost you, or they sought comfort in some other person who was not good for them or your relationship, or they chose to walk away, it was sadness. It was a horrible sadness that drove them to want to comfort their sadness with drugs, or to ignore walk away from their sadness and be able to live without having to be sad about it. It's indescribably sad and frustrating, and you can't do anything about it. You love your child, you're fighting hard. They're being, I'm sure you guys are being fed all kinds of lies about me. I'm fighting for kids who might be afraid of me when they first see me and think like I'm gonna kill them or something. I have heard it all. I have heard all the monster stories about Philip Gannaway. None of them are true. And I'm sure you guys have heard them all too. Okay, none of them are true. But if you're growing up believing it, read the official report. You boys are going to read that report, and you're going to be like, they did what with this? They wanted to take us away based on this? They were going to make any kind of illegal decision based on this report? Abraxas, you could read that right now at your age and realize exactly that it says exactly nothing. It makes no sense. You'd be like, my teacher would give this person an F for writing this report. It makes no sense. Brisbane, you're going to grow up and read it and be like, Mom, why'd you do that? And the only reason why is because I haven't given up and I haven't given in, and I saved the report and I followed all the way through. But yo, if you've been growing up thinking that your parent's a bad parent, and you really believe in the state that CPS had a good reason to take him away, go read the report. Go read the report. It's your report. You can foil it. Go find out what the truth was. Alright? Go find out if there's any evidence attached to it, or if it's just some person saying something about your parent who they don't even know. And they had like an hour-long interview. Go see if it's a he said, she said report. Because that stuff flies, man. That stuff was going to take my kids away from me, and it's taken a lot of people's kids away. That report was some nonsense. Didn't mean anything, didn't say anything. It had all the power in the whole entire world to destroy my ability to be a parent to my son and to take my son's father away from him, out of his life. And fuck that shit. So yeah, I'm suing Brianna Davis, Article 78, and her tuchus. And there will be a lot of lawsuits to follow. So I'm already in it to win it. I'm going to be doing the hard work. I'll be filing. Okay? Contact me. I'll hear you out. Send me your report. I'll read it. Article 78. It's a bad administrative decision. I 100% know that this bad administrative decision was going to get pushed through and legitimized by a family court. So I got no doubt that that's exactly what's happening with so many other people's reports. Send your report. Doesn't matter that you didn't appeal. It does not matter that you fucked up, that you messed it up, mister. It's your fault, right? No. I don't care. Send it. Read it over. If they were wrong, they were wrong. If it's a bad administrative decision, it was a bad administrative decision. File an Article 78. Alright? It's just paperwork. Don't be afraid of it. And if you can join with my lawsuit, if you got similar situations where they made it hard for you to appeal, where they had where they had their little miscommunications, if you're going into these situations, save everything. Document everything. Believe nothing. Okay? Guard yourself for your children. But you document absolutely everything. And if phone calls are documented by a follow-up email. You FOIL request things, you get the documents. You get your full report. You get the narrative, you get the notes, you get any exhibits, you get every shred of anything that has to do with that. Do not trust. You have to know. Alright, best luck, guys. We're all in the same boat. Stick with it.